Hello, and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. That's right, today we're back to talk about every movie I watched for the first time in the month of September 2023. I'm late, very late. It's like the 10th of October now. Yeah, and I've been so behind on videos lately, and it's really frustrating because it's genuinely not my fault. I've just been so busy with work and other things going on in life. I really had very little free time the last week to 2 weeks. And the free time I've had, I've just been seeing friends and just, doing stuff like that. So, yeah, I found it a bit hard to actually sit down and make videos the last couple of weeks. And it's not because I don't want to. It's just, just purely so busy lately. But anyway, I've got a bit of free time today. I'm going to sit down, going to finally talk about the movies I watched in September. And yeah, I watched like 20 to 25. Not as many as I normally do, to be fair. I do normally watch another 5 to 10 films more than this. But, here we are. We're going to talk about the ones I did watch. So guys, if you haven't seen this video before from me, I only talk about first time watches. I don't do rewatches. If you do want to see what I'm rewatching as well, because I do a lot of that as well, go over and give me a follow on Letterboxd, because I do literally log everything. I love that app. It's brilliant. I don't do TV series and things like that, because I've been watching a lot of TV this month as well. Been playing some PlayStation as well, doing lots of media type things, listening to music, everything. Nearly just dropped my iPad on the floor. That was crazy. But yeah, no, this is just first time movie watches. But anyway, let's crack on. I've moved over already slightly so we can see the lovely movie posters pop up here. And the first film I have to talk about is a Studio Ghibli movie, and it is The Red Turtle. This is quite a new one. I forget what year it came out, but it is one of their more recent films. And I had no idea until I put it on that it's practically a silent movie. No dialogue. It is all just, the sound effects of what's going on and the beautiful score to this movie, because it has an incredible score. And it is all a visual movie, and that helps so much when you've got a studio like Studio Ghibli doing it, because their animation is already pretty incredible. You never quite know what you're going to get. There's so many different styles that they've adopted now, which is one of the best things about them. They're the best animated company I've seen for that. But the style they have in this film, I think, might be their best. I thought this film was just so visually incredible. I was in awe of everything that was happening in this movie. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And I think, especially for modern films, because, we live with a generation now that goes to the cinema, which are very easy pleasing with movies. For Studio Ghibli to put something out like this today, to make it this engaging, I think speaks wonders for them. I cannot speak highly enough about this film. It's so visually pleasing. I thought the story was great as well, and the runtime was really appropriate for it. Yeah, I had a fantastic time with this one. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Then we have Blade. They finally added the Blade films to a streaming service, because I don't own them on Blu-ray, and I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to bother picking them up. And to be honest, I'm not sure I will, because as you can probably already tell, I wasn't absolutely blown away by them. For the first Blade, I know people have nostalgia for these films, a bit like people have nostalgia for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and those first 3 X-Men films. It comes from that era of superhero films. And obviously, it's the first time watch for me. I didn't grow up with these. Look, guys, I thought this was fine, but it really wasn't anything great. I thought it was all kind of average. It's a product of its time, and it's a period of time in cinema which I don't love going back to. It's not like when you talk about an 80s film, you go, it's a product of its time, but the 80s, there's something about it. Yeah, these early 2000 films, they're not my favourite style of filmmaking. It has this grainy filter over the whole film. The cuts are really annoying. Some of the action sequences are so over the top. Some of the dialogue is hilarious. I forget what it is, but there's a line that Blade has at the end about going up a hill or something, and it killed me. I'm not the biggest on vampire movies, unless it's like the old Dracula films either, to be honest. Yeah, I thought this was okay. It was fine. It wasn't a bad film by any means, but I'm not going to sit here and praise it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Then we have Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. It's got added to Netflix. It's the only Evil Dead film I hadn't seen, and to be honest, I thought it was absolutely awful. Didn't care for any of the characters. Where we went at the end was a bit ridiculous. I haven't played the games. I am the worst person to speak about these Resident Evil films. I'll say this. If there's any Resident Evil fans watching, please do fast forward over me, because I probably don't know what I'm talking about here. But as a film, I thought it was just annoying, loud, and obnoxious. Nothing made sense. The action sequences were boring. The zombies weren't scary. Yeah, just didn't really care for anything about this film, to be honest. Very bad movie. Maybe not the worst Resident Evil film, but it's sure as hell down there. But that's not saying much. To be honest, I think I only liked, like, 2 Resident Evil films. Maybe even just 1. This franchise was not for me at all. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 10. It was really bad. The Little Mermaid 2023. Yeah, I missed it at the cinema. Yeah, look, I have nostalgia for the original. I think the original is a very good film. I don't care if it's meant to be a girl's film. I like it. It's a good film. I watched the animated second one and third one as well earlier this year, because I knew this was coming out. I thought the second one was pretty bad, but the third one was okay, I guess. How did I think of this live action adaptation? Because Disney's track record on these has not been very good. It wasn't awful, I guess. You know, I thought the lead actress done a good job. I thought the casting, other than Javier Bardem, was pretty good. I thought he was massively miscast. Couldn't take him seriously at all. The songs were pretty good for the most part, and the new ones, other than that Scuttlebug song. Like, Lynn, what were you doing there? What were you cooking? That was awful. Awkwafina was quite annoying, actually. And I don't normally criticise her too much for being annoying, because I know that some people find her really irritating. But yeah, she was not good in this. The effects, you know, it all looks fake and cheap. I know it's a Disney live-action film. It's not meant to be dark and gritty or anything like that, but a lot of it just looks fake. I thought, you know, I hate lighting in these modern blockbusters. Everything, like, looks blue. Why can't we get dark scenes at night? It's ridiculous. Yeah, you know, for what it wasn't... I'm going to be kind, I think, and I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. It wasn't terrible, but, yeah, it wasn't anything too good. The Tale of Princess KaGa. This was another Studio Ghibli film, one which also had a very unique art style to it, and one which had a fantastic voice cast. Obviously these films are so popular that you get an American English-speaking cast record the dialogue as well, and I thought Chloe Grace Moretz done a wonderful job voicing here. Yeah, this was a really unique story. It threw everything at the table here. You think it's just about this story about this magical princess that's sort of been born into this family, and then it kind of deals with spirits and monsters as well, and it's really cool. And again, a lot of these Studio Ghibli films like this and the was it the Pom Yoko one? I've forgotten the title of it. The one about the raccoons. That one, they sort of remind me of those yokai monster Japanese films from the 60s, where it's like you're just in this Japanese village and these spirit monsters. I know that that's kind of popular with the Japanese filmmakers, and it works really well. There's a lot of interesting stuff with this. I love the characters in this. Her father as well, you know, her adopted father. He was my favourite character, maybe. I thought he was great. There was a lot of really cool stuff in this. And I loved the direction it went in, and I loved the ending. I thought it was really wholesome. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Blade 2. I hear this is people's favourite Blade. For me, it was more or less exactly on the same level as the first one. Daryl Dixon was in it, which caught me off guard. How do I do this without spoiling it? I knew exactly what his character would turn out to be. I thought it was so predictable. It was weird seeing him play someone that wasn't Daryl Dixon. Because even when he appears in anything else, like even in the Death Stranding game, he just seems like Daryl Dixon still. But yeah, Norman Reedus, he was good in it. Exact same as the first one, to be honest. So 6.5 out of 10. Ewoks Battle for Endor. My very good friend Tom is making a documentary on the two Ewoks movies from Star Wars, you know, the non-canon ones anymore. And I'll say I'm so looking forward to your documentary, Tom, if you're watching. I really, really can't wait to see it and see all the promotion and stuff for it. Absolutely fantastic filmmaker. But, you know, my honest opinion on these movies is I'm so happy they're not canon anymore. I slightly preferred this over the first one because there was some actual stakes to it, and it did feel like there was a little bit of like, okay, there's some bad guys here as well, so it feels like there is a bit of a point to this movie. But it's not good. It's not good at all. The Ewoks are speaking English now as well. Why? Why? The Ewoks have never spoke English. Yeah, these films are garbage. You know, as Mr. Sunday Movies quite clearly said about the first one, it's Caravan of Garbage. This is the battle for garbage. This film's really bad. 3 out of 10. Maybe that's being kind. I don't know. I've finally decided I'm going to start including documentaries when I talk about new stuff, because they count as films, you know, like film documentaries. And I've started adding them on my letterbox, the ones that I can remember I've seen. And I'll be honest, most of them are going to be about older classic rock artists or Formula One. So I've got 2 in a row here, which I watch back to back. First one up is Rolling Stone Revenue, Bob Dylan. And this is directed by Mr. Martin Scorsese. It's not as good as Martin Scorsese's documentary on George Harrison living in the material world. I think the difference is with that one is it's George's entire life. This is just about that tour that Bob Dylan done, where he was very heavily influenced by loads of things, from bands like Kiss to a lot of the country music around him. And he was also, you know, just on doing some really wacky, crazy music unlike anything he'd done before. And it's one of my favourite periods of time for Bob Dylan. I'm a big Dylan fan. But the documentary, it's quite long, and I think it runs its course a little bit. Because, as I said, there's only so much you can do around one tour, I think. But it was very good, very well shot, and it was really cool to see such a weird, wacky version of Dylan. And Scorsese does a good job. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Then we have the Ron Howard documentary, 8 Days a Week. Of course, the Beatles. Yeah, I'd actually never seen it, being a massive Beatles fan. And again, it's not one of my favourite Beatles documentaries, but it's cool to see them through their touring years, and I learned a couple bits about them, which is, not to brag, hard to do with me with the Beatles, because I genuinely, literally studied them. But yeah, I learned a couple little bits about it, but it was interesting. But the majority of the stuff there I knew. And to be honest, I adore their early stuff. I absolutely adore it. But I would say I'm more of a fan of their later stuff. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. A little bit too long. I'm also going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Then we got Urban Cowboy. I believe this was sent to me by Josh. It's the last HMV Premium Blu-ray I had in my collection to watch, starring John Travolta. And I'm going to be honest, I thought this was actually quite a good movie. The tension was there. The characters were interesting. And you really feel for the female character in it, the lead. I've forgotten her name. But yeah, you really do. And it's interesting going to these rough redneck parts of America, places which, you know, that I've never had any experience in those kind of places. Obviously, I've only been to America once, and I went to Florida. I went to the theme parks, so yeah, I've got no experience with that kind of stuff. But seeing some of these people and how different life is interesting. The big drawback with this movie is the main character's so unlikable. Like, at the start of the movie, he beats the girl, throws her out, and then the rest of the movie is about him trying to get her back, and it's like, no, I don't want her to get back with you. You were an arsehole. And that is the big problem with this movie. You just hate the main character. So, yeah. But the film did keep my attention. It's a well-made movie. There's some good aspects to it. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Young Frankenstein. This one was also sent to me, and yeah, I've forgotten the actor's name in it. I'm having a meltdown here. Hang on. Gene. I know his name's Gene. Really? It's not on the Blu-ray. Gene Wilder. There we go. I had no idea what I was getting into here, to be honest. So it's Gene Wilder, young Frankenstein, maybe some scary moments. I adored this. I loved it. It took you back to the 1930s, 40s Universal Monsters style of filming. And it was kind of just a piss take, but it was done in all the best ways. The black and white was such a brilliant touch. Gene Wilder is just such a fantastic actor in these types of films. No one will ever be better than him as Willy Wonka as well, I will say. Yeah, I just really, really enjoyed this film. I got a few real laugh out loud moments from me. Yeah, I just had a really fun time with this one. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Then we've got Past Lives. The new A24 film. I was hearing a lot of praise about this. I think it came out a bit earlier in America. So I was not missing the opportunity to see this on the big screen. And I had a brilliant time with this, you know, this kind of what-if scenario of, like, you know, revisiting old lives of these two characters who keep meeting up again every 12 years, kind of just coincidentally. But the final meeting, you know, which really takes place over the last 2 acts, where these characters meet up in New York, because they're both from Korea, I think it is, and she's in America now, living in New York. And they meet up there, and it's a wonderful movie. The dialogue and the two, I want to say 3 lead actors. The guy playing her husband as well does a brilliant job. All 3 of them incredible. Yeah, the dialogue was brilliant. Some of the cinematography is gorgeous. Some of the music choices as well I really liked. It was all round just a really, really great movie, to be honest. I'm actually going to give this a 9 out of 10. It's one of the best ones of the year. It's just a really well-made movie. Then Blade Trinity. Yeah, you know, this one's just not good, is it? Blade Trinity is just a mess. It seems before Deadpool, anything Ryan Reynolds touched superhero-wise was just doomed. I didn't like his character. I didn't like any character. Blade felt like a side character. The villain sucked. Everything about this movie was really, really bad. It was a struggle for me to get through it. I had it on in the background, I think, while I was doing some work. And honestly, if I'd been sitting there just sitting there giving it my full 100% attention, I would have turned it off, I think. I think this is a movie I genuinely would have turned off. But because I had to do some work, and I was like, I was just going to put something on in the background. Yeah, terrible, terrible movie. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. It was so bad. 3 Outlaw Samurai, and I think this was the last Criterion in my collection to watch. So, yeah, I've really been racking up, finishing off some stuff on this wall. This was pretty cool, seeing these 3 samurai sort of come together to take this village back. There was some really interesting sequences, seeing certain members of the village trying to help these guys through their struggles. I love going back to these kind of 60s Japanese movies like this, or, you know, I got the 50s Samurai trilogy on Criterion here somewhere as well. And it's just going back and just watching these movies. I just think there's something really interesting about them. And even though the Samurai trilogy was in colour, this one, the black and white, I just think it adds a layer of personality to the movie. And again, the night scenes are so cool because the samurai is sneaking about, and because it's so dark, you can barely see him. It all flows really well. Unlike a lot of modern stuff, going back to all these modern movies just looking blue at night. I'm going to give this film 7.5 out of 10. Elemental, this came to Disney Plus, missed it in the cinema. I heard it was quite good. I knew nothing about it, to be honest, going into it. I was hoping it'd be a bit like the movie Soul, where it's like they play, like, Soul is all about, you know, making your soul, you know, I don't know, it's about, like, expressing, making your soul worth living, and it's all about life, the meaning of life. It's so deep. And I was really expecting Elemental to go that route as well, like how elements affect things and stuff. I don't know, and what I got was a love story, which I really wasn't expecting. Don't get me wrong, this isn't the best movie ever. It's not. I have issues with it, but this was pretty damn fun. I really enjoyed the 2 main characters. I thought their chemistry was a little bit forced at the start, but then it became very well rounded. I really liked all the side stuff, especially with her and her family. I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to having parents like hers and stuff, and I think it's really wholesome. And the animation was really good as well. Yeah, Elemental, it was really quite good fun, actually. Good one from Pixar. So, 7.5 out of 10. Day of the Dead is next. So I watched Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead like 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years. I've fallen in love with those 2 George Romero films, and I've heard that this is the 3rd one, and people treat it as a trilogy, even though they're not really connected. I don't think, anyway. There's bigger experts than me on these. I'm going to be honest, this was a bit of a step down from the first 2, which I expected, because I never see people talk about it as much as the first 2, and there's no special edition of it out there like the other 2 yet. Yeah, I think the other 2, I don't even know which one I prefer. I think I slightly would lean towards Night of the Living Dead over Dawn, but they're both like right up here, same level. This one's just a bit, I don't know, I just didn't connect with the characters as well. I didn't like the whole, the zombie at the end, the one that remembers things and acts a bit human. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But some of the kills were very fun, especially those kind of two guys at the end who were in that big warehouse. I thought that when they got it, it was really cool, really well shot. Some cool, gory scenes. And that's what I go to these movies for. Don't get me wrong, I had a good time with it. It wasn't anything bad. In fact, I'd say I had a very entertaining time with it, but it just weren't on the levels of the first 2. 7 out of 10 for me. It Follows. I was lucky enough to pick up the second sight box set of this. Probably should have watched the movie first before I spent 40 quid on a box set. Why not? Sometimes you got to be risky in life, haven't you, I guess. And luckily, I really enjoyed the movie. I knew the premise of the movie. It was something that just follows you very slowly. But I thought it was going to be like a shadow monster or something like that. I wasn't expecting it to take the form of someone you knew, and it was just always naked. So it was a bit weird when she just saw like some old woman just coming at her from a distance mile away, butt naked. It was like, okay, yeah, this is creepy. And there were some really scary moments to it, really tense things, especially when it done it from the point of view of the people that couldn't see the monster. And it was just throwing people about. That was really, I don't like stuff like that. It reminds me of like paranormal things where there's monsters that you can't see that are dragging you about. That sort of stuff really creeps me out. But yeah, I thought this was great. There were some beautiful shots in it as well. I thought all the acting was great. Yeah, I'm gonna give It Follows a 7.5 out of 10. It was a really cool film. Then we got Age Daydream, the David Bowie documentary which came out. And I want to say, like, I love Bowie. I was so upset when he died. Like, genuinely, I was heartbroken. It's probably the biggest celebrity death so far to affect me. And after watching so many documentaries on this man around the time he died especially, and collecting all of his records and listening to them all, I think that I can say that this is something that Bowie himself would have loved. From the way it told his story to the artistic style it took. And the artistic style it took was phenomenal. This is genuinely up there with one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life. It is so good. It is so engaging. And it's truly heartbreaking as well. And it shows you how incredible this man was, not only in the music industry, but outside of it as well. And what a down-to-earth nice bloke he was, it seems. I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, I thought it was that good. Then we have No One Will Save You. This is a Disney Plus thing that pops up and people are sort of raving about. I thought it was alright. This didn't blow me away. The aliens were pretty cool, and the premise of the movie was clever, and the ending was very clever, very interesting. I really liked all of that, and I think on paper this film sounds brilliant, especially with some of the cool shots they used and whatnot, and the tension building that this film does. It does a lot really well, actually. I think what it doesn't do well is getting from A to B to C. Is it knows how to, it gets there fine with its plot, but in between there's so much filler and so much repetitiveness, and I think that's where I got a bit fed up. This film repeats itself way too much. Saying that, as I say, there's some really good elements to it. I thought the lead actress done a good job, as she always does. I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10 still, because there's some really, really good things to it. But yeah, nothing that absolutely blew me away overall. Then we got Morning Glory. Yeah, I was just looking for something on Netflix one day, and I saw Rachel McAdams and Harrison Ford in a film, and I was like, that's a good enough reason to watch a film. And Harrison Ford's basically playing himself, but he's really good in it. Yeah, this was such a fun, charming movie. It doesn't do anything mind-blowing, but seeing Rachel McAdams' character come into this news station place and try and bring some life back into it, even though she's stuck with Harrison Ford, who is the grumpiest and most miserable news anchor ever. There's room for a lot of good moments here. Funny moments, emotional moments, and by the end, it leaves you quite happy, quite charmed. It's, as I say, it's a very innocent little movie. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Then we got The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. I don't know whether I can talk about this one or not. It clocks in at 40 minutes. The new Wes Anderson Netflix one. It's classed as a short, but I'm pretty sure a film needs to be 40 minutes to be classed as a movie. I could be wrong. So yeah, everyone, it's classed as a short on everything I've seen it at, but it's long enough where I'm gonna say, nah, bollocks to it. I'm gonna put it in my movies. And yeah, I can't decide what I like more between this and Asteroid City this year from Wes Anderson. I like them both a fair bit, but for completely different reasons, to be honest. I think this one is just so fascinating how it's obviously based off a Roald Dahl book, and you've got this really interesting story, but what Wes Anderson does so well here is he feeds you information, so much information, that really you think, oh, we have everything we need as the audience, but it also forces you to use your imagination a lot, and I love that. I also love the sets in this one, and especially the transitions from set to set. I think it's brilliant. The actors are all doing just a fantastic job. I feel like, actors really need to get in a mindset to be able to work with Wes Anderson. He has this very awkward, stagey style. And yeah, sometimes actors don't quite get it, I don't think. But most actors seem to fit in quite well to his films. But yeah, I had a really good time with this one again. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Then we have Carry On Cruising. These Carry On movies, I don't really have loads to say about them. I think this is my favourite one so far, because a lot of them are just random ones where it's like, oh, they're all these random people. It's like, carry on regardless. It's like, well, they're not really in one specific place, really. Here, they're on a cruise, and there's a lot of crazy things they can get up to, and there was a lot of funny moments to it. This is one of the better ones. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And then finally, the last film I have to talk about is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's right, my first time watching this film that won Best Picture. Let me start off by saying the cast all do an incredible job. Jack Nicholson is absolutely fantastic. Whoever plays the nurse does a great job. She really made me dislike her, even though I think in many ways she was trying to do the right thing. And I think in the end it showed that she was. And yeah, young Danny DeVito and the Doctor from Back to the Future. Yeah, some really, really cool cast members there. But this story was just gripping. Just seeing all these different characters forced into this one location, seeing what they get up to, and the extent that Jack Nicholson's character was willing to go to. And the ending was just truly heartbreaking. I was in tears watching it. I don't have a bad word to say about this. It's one of my favourite Best Picture winners, and it is one of my favourite movies ever in general now, to be honest. I am so pleased I bought the new Cine edition of this film, because it is just a fantastic movie. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think it is brilliant. So I'm going to just leave the poster up here, because my film of the month is also this. Yeah. I say, there's a couple which really, really did come close. Age Daydream, of course. The Red Turtle. But this film here was just this. It's still in my mind after, you know, I watched it a good 10, 11 days ago now, and it's still like front and center over all the films I've watched the last 10 or 11 days. It is truly an astonishing movie. One of the best ever. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Anyway, guys, there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it, subscribe, and leave a message. Let me know what you've been watching. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. Hopefully be able to get back on some videos over the weekend. Yeah, thank you very much for watching as always. And I'll see you guys next time for another video. Bye-bye.